everyone, welcome back to this week's edition to the Women's Show here on Civic Space TV. I am your host for today, as usual, Marion Kirabo. And today's topic that we are addressing today is unpaid domestic care work. Very controversial issue when we talk about the kind of labor our moms and wives put into the home and how they are not compensated for it. It raises many eyebrows, you know. Why should you be paid to be a mom? Why should you be paid to be a wife? And what is so special about the things that people do at home that they should be paid for? All those questions come, the public versus the private. So to answer that controversial discussion for us today is our dear panelist that we have. And I'll let her introduce herself. Please, Nakato, take the floor.
Thank you. My name is Lydia Nakato and I work with Uganda Women's Network professionally. I'm an economist with a master's in economic planning and policy from Makele University. And UWONET, I work as a program assistant leading the thematic area called Women's Agency for Economic Transformation, where unpaid care and domestic work falls. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. So we are dealing with an expert, is what you're trying to tell us. So this thing called unpaid care domestic work, what is it? And should people be paid for domestic work? I mean, it should be part of us, you know, personal hygiene, you know, cleaning around your place, washing dishes and what. Why should we be paid for it? Okay, what is it to start with?
Unpaid care and domestic work is any kind of work that is done at a domestic level. Say cleaning home, cooking food, fetching water, taking care of the sick. All it is unpaid care and domestic work. To make it different from the paid work, you go to hospitals, hotels where people are paid at the end of the day after cleaning the hotel. For them, they are paid, which is not the other side at the home where we just cook, iron for our husbands, and we are not even appreciated or recognized. That is the way makes it different from the paid work and the unpaid care and domestic work. Yes. We women, we are not calling that we should be paid for, no. But we want to be recognized that, yes, doing that work at home, it is work itself. And most cases, they don't really recognize that unpaid care and domestic work is work, independent work. Yes.
But doesn't that make it quite expensive? I mean, there's a reason why we avoid hotels and we just do things ourselves. Take for example, we don't all go to hotels. You get, and the reason why we avoid hotels and restaurants is because at home it is cheaper to do things yourself. And I mean, if you see your mother does for you something or your wife does for you something, it is to cut costs and expenditure.
Now, if you look at it in that angle, for you are considering that going to the restaurant, they hired someone working already here, but being at home, the time spent doing everything, cooking, making sure that the food is ready on plate, it takes time. And that time that it takes, because you have to go to the market, look for what you cook, all those things are needed well at home. But at the restaurant, you'll find that, yes, the food is ready cooked and you are ready to pay for it. Meaning you are paying for the service of making that food ready to be on a plate, which is not at home. Yes. So for us to say that, yes, unpaid care and domestic work is becoming now a song in Uganda, bit globally, is that it is not providing time for women to do productive work, because most of the time are spent at home doing that kind of work. And a research was done in 2018. They found out that a woman spends more time doing unpaid care and domestic work than a man. But our call isn't that we want to get more time given to us, that we can be able to do other productive work where we can at least make some money from them, other than just sitting home looking for the patients, looking for maybe taking care of our husbands. They need to recognize us that yes, we do that work, but at the end of the day, someone is ready to appreciate you. We are not calling up people that we need to be paid, being that our economic situation in the current context, if we don't have any minimum wage, why should we call for it? But if it is there, well and good. And if the husband goes ahead and maybe allocate a percentage, say 5% from his salary towards the wife, well and
why
better.
not just go out there and work and do work that gets you paid?
Yes, we want to make sure that the conditions at home, do they allow you to go and work? Now, if we consider that, look at the woman, for example, look at the woman from the village. That woman wakes up early morning, go to the garden, dig, come back, fetch water in a long distance, correct firewood. Will she have time for herself to go for a productive work, looking at that condition? To us, we say no, it is not really attractive, the environment where these women be at homes. But if you provide, maybe you make water points come closer to the woman, where they spend a little time to fetch water, they'll create some time for them to be productive doing some other kind of business, say skilling, tailoring, than just cooking or looking for the people at home.
Okay. So is there, so are you saying that there is a correlation between women's unemployment, poverty, and inequality, because
Definitely, yes.
when she's not able to get time to maybe do productive work,
there is actually a strong correlation in between those elements of unemployment, poverty, and the inequality.
Okay.
The inequality comes in that all kind of work that are supposed to be at home, that are supposed to be done at home, they are being done majorly by women and girls, limiting this young child to go to school. That's why we see a lot of school dropouts that are coming or rising. It's because of the unpaid care and domestic work. They have to fetch water in the morning. By the time they go to school, they are already late. And at the end of the day, their performance is not good at all. So you limit that girl to enjoy her right to education. In the poverty, yes, if you're not considering yourself doing a productive work and you are not paid, what comes next? It is an increment in poverty. The unemployment, considering that unpaid care and domestic work itself is not work, it increases the burden of unemployment. You are not creating time for yourself to be productive. So there is actually a strong correlation between the three.
But when you talk about women and girls,
Yes.
and like I said in the morning, earlier, mothers and wives, don't you think, our society has roles for each and every sex,
Yes.
you know. We have grown up with the notion that a mom is supposed to take care of the home, and your wife is supposed to put the home into order and do all these things. And so if she's not there, doesn't the home crumble?
No,
And
definitely.
doesn't now the expense, you see, why you decide to eat from a home instead of a restaurant is because it's cheaper to cook food at home. Doesn't it put a burden onto the home also? How will the poor people be able to cope up with these whole changes in genders?
No, actually, one thing that we need to know is that the mindset change. People know that the unpaid care and domestic work, all that work that is supposed to be done at home, is being done by women or girls. That is a totally mindset change. And in our culture, in our country today, we grew up knowing that those are the roles that are supposed to be done by women and girls. But we are developing. Everyone can do this work. And if you do it, what will you lose out? If you're not comfortable for you like a man to do that kind of cooking at home, make the kitchen friendly so that this woman who is cooking for you takes a little time. Modernize it. Now you're looking at the rural person, that how will this person now, I talked of eating food from the restaurant. I just gave you an example. There are some indicators that is unpaid care to be done by women. Say, water points are very far from their homes. But if the Ministry of Water goes ahead and bring those water points closer, that girl will spend little time, or a woman will spend little time fetching water and create other time to involve in other business skills. Say charcoal briquettes making. But if you are taking like 5 kilometers to fetch just one jerrycan of water, how long will it take you? Bring those water points closer. And secondly, subsidize the equipment, such as cookers, so that they are affordable to everyone. Where we see that there is no electricity in those rural areas, let solar be, and let them subsidize those equipments that can favor even average woman or average home afford to buy that equipment.
But then the government will tell you that is not feasible in today's economy, given the high prices, you know, inflation and all those things. But even when we talk about, let me say, modernizing the kitchen and everything, there still has to be a financial cost. How possible is it in today's economy?
Now, if you go into policies or things to be implemented within our country here, it takes time. Myself being here doesn't mean that by the time I live here, everything will be set up. But we have a vision that we move on. Vision 2040. We want to see that, yes, these issues that we are advocating for, by 2040, we shall be able to see them. And we shall have our affordable homes with. Because government will tell you that we don't have money, which is true, because they normally look at a financial budget. And if anything is not budgeted in that budget, it will not be considered. But if we keep on making aware that, yes, this unpaid care and domestic work, which we are not even considering, is totally a big burden to the government, and you want to see an economy being transformed, that means that they have to work on these cultural norms that are limiting someone to develop. Yeah, you get me? And then we have the NDP3. There are programs. There is that program that has community and community mobilization and mindset change. If they ensure that every year money is being allocated to that program, and government go on ground to also to emphasize that yes, there is need to change the attitude of unpaid care and domestic work being burden to women and girls, and they should redistribute it. They should involve boys on on ground, that they should work with girls to see that yes, this unpaid care, the cooking that is being done by a girl can be done by a boy, and once that person does it, doesn't lose anything. By 2040 we shall have yes.
Okay. But why now? This because it's unpaid domestic work current trend, current conversation. Why do you think it's so different? Why has it become an issue now than it was before?
Okay. Now, previously, let me take you now to economics. They used to calculate the gross domestic product basing on some indicators. What they have done, some researches have been done and discovered that yes, considering a typical value for the gross domestic product (GDP), and you leave out the component of unpaid care work, we're calculating a wrong value. And secondly, if you want to see a transformed society, why don't you work with these women, girls, to make sure that they are transformed economically and they are empowered economically, such that they have the money that they can use, because most of the homes have now been left to women. Men have run away from their responsibilities. So it is a conversation, yes, and it is through UWONET that has made it to become a global issue with support from Oxfam. And good enough, now partners, different people, UN, they are taking interest in doing unpaid care and domestic work funding, that to see that there is more awareness about this topic.
Have you seen any change? Let me say legislation or work or something. Has there been any change that you've seen? Has this funding actually done anything to change the plight of women when it comes to domestic care work?
Yes, some changes are coming up, because recently we didn't have breastfeeding corners, the daycare centers that you are seeing in the market. Is because of the advocacy that is being done on unpaid care and domestic work. If you look at your statistics from UBOS, the timely series, nowadays they carry out their data correction, putting in mind the time spent doing that. It's because of the unpaid care and domestic work advocacy that UWONET has done. Yes. The daycare centers now, government markets are really, they are putting spaces in their new market, though the challenge is they are giving out those spaces, but are they using it? To the findings now, it is not. Reason being, the budgets, they're not there to finance them. And these women who work in the informal sector don't have money to maintain those daycare centers. Now our argument is again that if government can go ahead and allocate some money towards the financing of the daycare centers, they can be operational. Take a point, the market of glue. Yeah, the daycare center was created and it was given space, but they went ahead and gave out the space to Uganda Revenue Authority to do their work. reason why they did so, they were like the space was vacant. They were not using it because they cannot afford maintaining a daycare center for the women in the market.
But I mean, what does it really take? Some of these women have caretakers at home. Maybe, I don't know. I just think it might be that
Now, for you
government
to
is
be comfortable, to work, to be productive, for mothers who have children,
oh no,
you cannot.
I get what you're saying, but
Yeah.
on the point of government, not all these markets not being able to operate these daycare centers. So I think that's quite an excuse, because have they, let me say, have they quantified what it takes? Is it a question of what do we feed these kids, or who takes care of these kids? What does it entail to run a daycare center? What exactly is the problem?
One, you'll not just create a space like this and leave it that, yes, this is a functional daycare center. No, you should have at least someone to employ and take care of that room and manage. That person is, at the end of the day, is paid for, because it is not easy work, by the way, looking at different kids at that early stage, and then you really don't even support them, either giving them maybe food, what they feed on. If so, you cannot be productive. So it is the responsibility of the government to go ahead, however much they have a lot of prioritization things that they are prioritizing, but this one is also an issue that they need to look through.
Do you think that government should regulate what goes on in our homes? Do you think it's important?
To me, I think so. It is. Reason being, you employ someone, yeah, you bring a maid, you give them very minimal wages, and then you mistreat that person. You bring that person on board, and he or she doesn't have a contract to see that, yes, she's an employee to your home. But if it regulates and puts it into practice, if there is a law, this Employment Act, if it is amended, it will spell out all the gaps that were in the old one, and gives a go ahead of how government should regulate things at our homes. And to me, it is a good one.
On the issue of domestic workers, we have seen people live here, Uganda, to go and become domestic workers abroad and are mistreated, not only here in Uganda, but even abroad in those Saudi Arabia countries. So it goes on to show you that it's not only in Uganda, even in other countries, domestic care work is not really appreciated or protected. What is government, or what initiatives have been taken to also, I'm saying the initiatives, you have talked about the amendment of the Employment Act to cater for domestic workers. But even there, before we go there, that did bring a controversy with correct me if I'm wrong, there was even a debate and some MPs kind of rejected that. So you can see that even in the country, there's some kind of controversy over it. But then we have also another animal in the room, that even abroad, our domestic care workers have been treated worse. So have there been any steps to kind of sensitize our MPs about the need to protect domestic workers both here and abroad? Because at the end of the day, if we don't change the mindset of the leaders, whatever we do here may be counterproductive.
Yes, actually we have the 4 areas. Now what you've been speaking out, it comes under the last area, which is representation. As UWONET, we try much area engage the parliament, members of parliament, to make sure that yes, this unpaid care and domestic work is critically an issue that really affects people, all women and girls at home, and should be addressed immediately. So I also being here, I'm representing the issues of the women, voicing out what they cannot speak. But we do involve Ministry of Gender, and it's aware about the concept of unpaid care and domestic work. Luckily enough, we now have the champion. He's coming as a champion, the principal, Mr. Kalanda. And he's really pushing for the care needs to be done, even in the employment level. Because you find that at our workplaces, they don't have those breastfeeding corners, but they are also amending.
Are they there in Parliament?
Parliament has a daycare center.
Are there other
government
organizations that also have daycare centers?
Now, Minister of Gender promised to create space for
one.
Yeah, but we do call them every MDAs, at least to regulate the unpaid care and domestic work in their programs, and also to sensitize them that yes, this is not just to work for women, but it's for work for everyone.
Does UWONET have a daycare center? You should practice what you preach.
Definitely.
And the breastfeeding
we cannot now advocate for things which we cannot even implement.
What are some of the challenges that you've found in running some of these things? For example, the daycare center. Don't you? Workers or employees comfortable bringing their kids to work?
Yeah, now actually for every now employer, they have their policies that govern them, and for mothers, these pregnant women, they are given maternity leave 3 months, and then they are paid. However much they stay home breastfeeding their young ones, they are paid. But coming back, still it is a bit challenging, because leaving that child, a 3-month baby, she's really still very young. But what they do at UWONET, they give you those flexible hours. If you really see that you are unable, you can't work the whole day besides that young baby. So you are free to come in the morning and then leave at 2. Yeah, to go and take care of the young one.
Now for those
and also the option of working from home, we do provide them with the equipment everywhere. Every staff has a portable laptop they do provide Wi-Fi for free a month, so she's free to work from home.
That one that works with the daycare near, don't you get incidences of them constantly going to check, is my baby okay? Especially for the new moms?
No, because they are mentally set very that yes, she has also to prove that she's productive, to see that she's sustained at the workplace. So you cannot misbehave that every hour or every 30 minutes she's checking on the baby, maybe is feeding well. Besides, that person has a maid home, maybe a relative, someone whom she trusts and she pays very well.
But how do you deal with, because you see, we were saying, the reason why I'm raising these things is that during COVID, we saw how parents struggled to work around their children. You would be in a meeting and like a little kid is coming, grabbing at your feet, wanting to turn off the PC. It's crying in your arms. So I'm just wondering, now you are a workplace. How do you block out the noise? Okay, maybe if you say you're going to use sound maybe soundproof walls. Let's assume you do that. But the running around, babies are a handful, children are a handful. They're running around, they're destroying everything around you. It's so distracting. And some people are complaining, oh my God, I used to think working at home was a nice thing until being around these kids cannot let me concentrate. So how do you deal that? For example, you're in parliament, and how do you deal with those things?
I think also the babies themselves, it depends on you how you create that strong relationship that yes, you make that baby that maybe every 30 minutes you breastfeed that baby, or you hold it in your hands. But if you start initially before even finishing your 3-month maternity leave, if you really did not maybe put this baby so close aside that she can get used to you, she can handle. And also, you can't really create every 10 minutes that maybe you're leaving your desk cross-checking on the baby. Yes, they give you a provision of even your baby caretaker to be there. So why should you maybe again cross-check and yet there's someone else who can take care of that baby? So in the care centers, they don't mainly say that yes, these young babies are brought and maybe someone else handles them. They have a provision of you going
Bringing
with
with
your
your
maid, the person you are used to, you feel comfortable with, and can take care of the baby where you are not available that
Doesn't
time.
that congest? If everyone brought their own maid, doesn't that congest the baby care center?
No,
Oh, there's enough space.
There is enough space because you cannot all conceive at the same time and maybe give birth at the same time.
Like people have a lot of kids that, young kids running around. You'd be shocked at how many people have young children.
We have not experienced it at UWONET at all.
Maybe because you're few.
Not
But
really.
I'm imagining too about Parliament having like 400 women. Is that the number right now?
Yes.
Is it 200 or 400?
400.
400 women, at least majority of them are mothers. It is not the daycare takes. Do you have a specific age?
Yeah, actually it runs for 1 year. Those ones before 1 year. If your child is maybe 1.5 years, can comfortably find a comfortable school which has daycare so that you can enjoy your child that playing around.
So it's specific. Okay, I guess that makes it also manageable because from 1 year or from 2 years, kids can be quite destructive to keep just in one place. I understand that.
Yes.
Though I'm still perturbed about the cost. When we're talking about age categories of women, who have you found to be more embracing of the idea of unpaid domestic work? Have you found resistance from, let me say, some women that don't think that this, or is it generally all women agree that they should be paid for their labor?
Actually, in Uganda here today, if you go to someone's home and you ask her if she has been doing, she'll tell you no, I don't really work. And if you ask her, do you cook food? She'll tell you yes, but that is not work. So they have that mentality that yes, what we do home, we are supposed to be doing it. Yeah. And it
And
is.
don't you think they're right? Because it's necessity. She does not cook, what will her kids eat?
Definitely, that's why we are calling for this mindset change. And for us, what we always now, if we look at you that yes, you are insisting that you are supposed to create to do that work, we tell you that yes, but besides this work, you are supposed to do something or some business that you're supposed to be running for you to be productive and also for you not to be dependent on your husband every hour, and then because majority in the country here, most especially the rural people, they are widows. They are the ones taking care of the families. So if they only do that unpaid care and domestic work and they don't create time for them to be productive, how will that person sustain their family?
So who is going to pay them? Who pays them?
Who pays them?
Who pays them for this domestic work?
Now, we are not calling that, yes, we should be paid, even as we, the people who are in formal employment. We are not telling people that, yes, you should be paid, you should pay us. But the 4 hours, the recognition, if you really recognize me that, yes, appreciate that whatever I've been doing for you is really work, and just say a thank you. It is just enough for a woman. But most cases, the raises of gender-based violence, domestic violence, come from that side. You go home, they are not even appreciating you, they start abusing you, are not doing anything, and yet that person has been doing work. But just say a thank you. It will be just enough for that person. And then if you come now
A thank you from your husband.
Definitely. Yeah.
And then you were saying?
And then if it comes to reduction, I already maybe talked about it, that if you make your kitchen friendly using gas instead of this
For the husbands. But I'm asking, and sorry for interrupting you, that this is for the case of husbands. You know, they should appreciate their wives. But now for me, who is, let me say, a widow or a single mom, who's going to appreciate my domestic care work?
Now,
Government is soft. Don't need appreciation.
Government is soft. Putting money in research and recognizing or putting platforms where they can discuss these issues. They are already appreciating you on your behalf. That yes, unpaid care and domestic work really needs to be recognized by yourself. For them, allocating money or subsidizing these equipments that take money, a lot of money, reducing taxes on the say gas, these cookers. It is a sign of recognition. Bringing water points closer, so that you spend little time fetching water. It is part of recognition that you are paid for whatever you are doing, because you are spending little time there and you can be able to do any other productive work that you can do.
Okay. So the husbands and government. It's you know, it's a hard topic. It's a really revolutionary, I would say, revolutionary way of thinking. And do you come across telling you, but this is never going to happen, this is a utopia? How do you respond to that?
Now,
that who's going to buy into this?
As you said, that unpaid care and domestic, it is a hard concept, but we make it easy and simplify. We go ahead and at least make it visible. We do radio talk shows to sensitize people about it. Even bringing government officials, they appreciate what we are talking about. You get. So if maybe you are considering your factors of economic development and you are living out the component of unpaid care and domestic work, and you are busy calculating your gross domestic product, basing on different indicators, say employment, interest rate, and then foreign exchange, and then you are living out this component of unpaid care and domestic work, we really consider that yes, your value that you are calculating is a wrong figure. And we are fighting it hard. I believe by 2040, it will be an indicator for.
Okay. Are there any African countries that you know that have applied this and what the results have been? Those people will say that these things are Western. Actually, what would you also say to that? No, these are Western ideologies. So there are African countries that you know that have tried.
What I know, Kenya is also pushing for unpaid care and domestic work to be considered on when calculating the GDP.
Wow, calculating the GDP.
Yeah.
How does that correlate? What would it be showing if it's added to the GDP?
Now it tells you that for you, if you want to increase or if you want to see your levels of income increasing, you need to push for it.
Okay.
Because there is actually a negative correlation between the two. So if you really have a big burden of unpaid care and domestic work, your levels of national level income will be very low.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Nakato. Can you give us, in just 5 minutes, give us a summary, your final remarks, and what you have to say to the audience about unpaid work? What is your last parting shot to the audience?
Wow, thank you so much for this show. I really like the concept of unpaid care and domestic work, besides that I'm a woman. But what I call upon is that the government will put more emphasis on this, making it close in their policies, maybe budgeting, planning, in their modalities, in every ministry, departments and agencies. They consider the concept of unpaid care and domestic work, so that the concept goes wide and people really appreciate what the idea is about. For the program which is under NDP3, the community mobilization and mindset change, I call upon Ministry of Gender to go ahead and give a thought of advocacy on unpaid care and domestic work to sensitize members that yes, this unpaid care and domestic work should be redistributed among the boys at home and girls, so that they can create time for the young girls also to attain their rights, say education, and also creating job opportunities for them to be productive other than just taking care of their siblings at home. Yeah, for UWONET, we shall go ahead and increase more awareness where it is necessary about unpaid care and domestic work until we see that the unpaid care and domestic work is really considered as a factor that contributes to the gross domestic product. I thank you very much for this show.
And thank you for coming and explaining to us all the things pertaining this controversial topic. I'll call it controversial because to some people it would be going against cultural norms. So that is it from us today. Thank you again for tuning into the show. Come back next time, this same date, same week, here on the Women's Show on Civic Space TV. You could also follow us on our Twitter, our Facebook, and Instagram accounts. Bye for now.